Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I got a great guest on the show today. His name is David, and I'll give you a little fun fact about David. David likes to collect turtles. He's got some kind of little turtle fetish where he's got over 500 turtles he's been collecting over the years, and there's a backstory behind that one. And uh, yeah, you want to just share just quickly how you got into turtle collecting?
In the turtle business. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's a real honor to be here and to share what I've been through and what I've learned along the way and how I got to be the person I am today. So I appreciate the time. Uh, Turtles. I used to swim quite a bit when I was young. I grew up in Ontario, and I was a very good swimmer. So I spent a lot of time unsupervised in water at a very young age, and I used to cliff dive when I was little, and on one particular occasion, I dove, and I used to go real deep, like swim as deep as I could, and I'd feel the pressure on my lungs. I'd feel like I'm just going to explode. So, and then I'd turn around, and I'd just put my arms out, hang them out in my side here, and just let myself float up, let the air take me up to the top of the surface. Seemed like it took forever sometimes. You could see the glistening from the from the sun above the water and everything, but it seemed like it took forever to get up there. And then I finally burst through the surface, just about out of air, and I'd do it again.
Nice.
Yep. So one time I dove down. I went down really really deep, and I was floating on my way up, and something hit me in the side of my head. And then another thing hit me, and I'm going, what is going on? So I'm must be 30, 40 feet down, and I'm looking around. All of a sudden, I'm surrounded by literally hundreds of baby turtles, hundreds and hundreds of them, just little ones. And I stopped for a second. It's like time stood still. If I could have captured that moment and stayed there, I would have. It's one of those times where I think I found some kind of purpose or higher power than myself at the age of 8 or 9 in the water swimming with these turtles. So since then, I've been collecting them and been hanging on to them. People have a lot of questions about why I have so many turtles until I understand the significance of it. And there's more to that background too.
So before we get started here, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or say hi to?
Well, definitely my family, my partner Mercy, and all my children, my boys Josh, Chris, my other children, Jan, Dee, Ryan, and Gwen, and then our two adopted children, Riley and Jeremiah, and our little baby Jane, who we're trying to adopt. Jane is a sweetheart. So all family and friends, people across the country, people back in Ontario who I haven't seen for a while, they know who they are.
Nice. Hope
Yeah,
you guys are listening.
yeah.
So the way I like to get every show going is, do you want to share with us what your childhood upbringing was like?
I could do it very briefly. I was born on a reserve in Ontario on First Nation or Indigenous, and this was a beautiful reserve on the southern shores of Lake Huron in Ontario. But there's a lot of dysfunction on the reserve and a lot of alcoholism, drug addictions, that type. And then this was back in the late '50s that I was born. So I was born in a very chaotic community. My dad, just quickly, my dad was 86 when I was born. So he was well into his senior years. I was born in June of '55. He died in July of '55. I don't remember Dad. I never have a picture of him until just recently. Uh, but that's something that's going to have some impact. My mom took care of us for a little while, and I say a little while because she was a victim of a hit and run accident on our reserve when I was 3. And she was a deaf mute, so she obviously didn't hear this vehicle coming. I didn't do anything. I couldn't do anything, but she was killed instantly. Went into foster care, 18 homes in 1 year, uh, and then into an orphanage with about 70 other kids that were homeless. They didn't have parents. Uh, it gets better after a while. I was adopted very young into a French Canadian family in Toronto, moved to Toronto. But there's a lot of things that are happening that are stuck with me through those first 4 years that I carried well into my adulthood. So I after moving to Toronto, things settled down. I went to school, and I had a mom and a dad, and some brothers and sisters, and things seemed to settle down. But inside, I was chaotic. I was nervous. I was scared. I was a walking little time bomb. Uh, and it showed in the neighborhood, in the schools, with my peers, fights, and hurting kids. And I was very much a bully when I was a little boy. Uh, and being suspended from school very young, strapped every year, almost for 8 years, uh, and disciplined by authority there. So it just seemed to, although I had a nice home to be in, my life was just chaotic. It was just chaotic up until I started my addiction.
How old were you when you started your addiction, or what was your introduction to drinking or drugs?
Well, my introduction to drugs and drinking started around 12, age 12 in Toronto. And I was a sniffer to start with. My first high was off inhalants, airplane glue, aerosol spray cans, those type of things. And I used to, I was the kind of person I realized right away that when I used a lot. I never knew anything about using a little. Moderation was not a word in my vocabulary. So when I would use, I'd use and use and use, or sniff and sniff and sniff until I couldn't stand out. Uh, and then cigarettes came in right away too. I was smoking right away, and then alcohol very soon after that. I was introduced to beer, and it was gross.
I agree.
It was terrible.
I didn't like beer as a kid either.
No, it was just nasty, but I drank it anyways. But lukewarm beer, Labatt's 50, and I drank. I can't believe I drank the whole thing, even though it was terrible, and went on to have about 4 or 5 more, and blacked out. Now, so I was a blackout user and drinker right from the get go, right from age 12 and 13.
Oh. So from there, did you have any siblings you did it with, or was it something just with friends?
Well, initially it was with my brother, who was also adopted. My brother, my older brother, and our friends. So we had common friends in the Toronto area we grew up in, and we seemed to connect with other guys that like to do the things we like to do, and it's amazing how that happens. But we attracted to each other, and we formed a gang in about when I was about 14, 15, going into 16, and it got pretty serious for a while in Toronto there. But we all love to get high. We found out we all love to drink. We all love to smoke. We all love to get in trouble. We all like to steal things. We all like to
Mhm.
shoplift. We all these things, and we all like to fight. So we weren't alone in that respect. We all shared that addiction, and which was a little iffy at times, because when you get 5 or 6 young men, well, teenagers, uh, getting right out of it, as I explained, anything can happen, and that led to charges. It led to self abuse, cutting, burning ourselves, all that type of thing, all in the name of brotherhood. You know.
How many of them are you friends with today?
None, none. As a matter of fact, they're all dead today. And the last one was my friend Ian, who died in 2005 from complications of the diabetes, and it was just a mess. This boy, but he never really stopped. So most of my friends didn't stop. Most of the people I grew up with have passed away. Some have been institutionalized, and some have been in mental facilities for since we were 15, 16. So uh, I found out very early there were very serious consequences to that behavior. But did I care? No, I really didn't. I would do anything and everything I could get my hands on. I would do speed straight for a week, 3 times a day, and I'd be injecting this stuff. And why? Because it was accessible. And why 3 times? Because I couldn't get enough of it. On top of that, I was drinking, taking LSD, mescaline, you name it, whatever I could eat, snort, cocaine. I was into cocaine. Whatever I could put in my system, it didn't matter how it got there. I would put it in there, and I would excess all the time. I was always taking more than I should. My last LSD trip, I was 15, and I had a bad, bad, bad experience. I might get to that one, but Really bad experience, and I almost lost myself, and that's from the excess. That's from the childhood stuff, just sitting underneath the level of all this stuff, and me not having the controls inside me or around me. I had nobody who could challenge what I was doing to myself or help me. Either way, I probably it would have been a help if somebody had said, "Hey, listen, come here. You're going to do this for a while, and take me by the hand and make me do it," or suggest things or befriend me in a way that I would understand. And there are many times, my friend, where I was suicidal in between these bouts. I was drinking and using daily for most of my teens, that I wanted to end my life. And that's how much turmoil was created already on top of the turmoil I experienced firsthand. I was creating it and it was becoming worse.
Mhm.
Uh, One of the hardest decisions was to stop that vicious cycle because you stop for a day or two, you end up hating yourself, right? You use for a day or two, you hate yourself even more. And then you say that I'm going to die if I do this, you stop. And what happens? You got to face yourself. Well, that's even worse. So you get back into it. For me, it was a really vicious cycle that I sense a lot of us have been through. Uh, Addictions is considered a mental health issue now. It never was before.
Mhm.
But there's always been a connection in my life between childhood experience, trauma, and addiction. And one fed the other one, and the other one kind of fed the other one. It
Yeah.
was a reciprocal kind of relationship.
Sure, you don't realize that too until you actually get clean and in hindsight, be able to look back and see the correlation and things like that.
Exactly.
Um, how old were you when you realized like I might have a problem? And did you ever try and quit on your own?
I was a very young teen, 14, 15, when I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
Why? Because I couldn't explain why I would do the things I did. You know, I couldn't explain why I would hurt people the way I did. I couldn't explain the self abuse stuff that was happening. None of it made sense. The only thing connecting that was the using. I did it when I was using. I probably wouldn't do it if I was straight,
Mhm.
right? But I wasn't straight long enough to find out.
Yeah, makes
Uh,
sense.
so uh, one precipitates the other one, and it's a reciprocal kind of situation where if you don't deal with one, you're going to continue dealing with them both. So I knew very early that I had problems, and I knew very early that it was serious. But on the other hand, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care, and there were times I did care, but I was hanging on by a thread just to get through the day, uh, because I wanted to end my life. And uh, so that particular those events took place through my childhood, into my teen years, and then early into my adult years. Uh, and it continued until I was almost 28.
I'm gonna try and do a little timestamp here.
Yep.
What's your clean date today?
What's one month?
What's your clean date today?
I'm 38 years clean today.
Sorry, I want to say it one more time. I coughed right through
Okay.
it.
My clean date is December 15th, 1983,
And you said, oh,
and I was
age
28 years old then, and I'm 66 now. So I've been clean and sober for 38 years.
almost as long as I've been alive.
Oh boy.
I just turned 40.
Oh, come on, I was just getting up there.
Uh, so 28. Okay. So
Yeah.
time from the 28. Um, I just want.
You asked me, sorry, another question. Did I
Yes.
ever try to stop
Yeah.
myself? Yes. And I had a small degree of success. One time was for almost a year that I was able to stop everything and go off and find work. And I started very young in the profession of childcare. It was noted by neighbors and friends of us that I had incredible ability working with little ones, kids, and I loved doing it. I loved being around them. They really looked up to me. I needed that, and it was a totally different world that I was exposed to. And somebody had noticed this and said something to somebody, and somebody came over to my home and said, "I hear you're good with kids. I want you to come work with me." I was 17 years old, and I hummed and hawed for a bit, and I said, "Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'd love to do this." And went and started working in a group home when I was 17 years old. You don't find that today. You aren't going to find another person, and that's something that I'm extremely proud of. On your list here is one of those questions. That's one of the most uh, grateful things I have was that ability to reach other kids and to be recognized for it and turn it into what has been a 45-year career. Um, but on my own, no, not for long periods of time. Did I go into treatment? No, I didn't. Uh, as a matter of fact, my first stab at ending this cycle was when I was about 23 years old here in Edmonton. I ended up in detox uh, because I've been snorting and eating pills and drinking daily for 11 days. Um, and somebody said, you need help, son. You know, I'm going to take you to detox. So I went willingly because I knew I was licked. I knew that. And it was the neatest experience up until that point in my history that I would accept that and then dive into it. And I did I was with both guns loaded. I was ready to do something different, and I went to meetings. I was in groups. I was with a counselor. I so on and so forth. And for about ooh, better part of 3 months or so, I continued that program. Continued going back to that program until I realized a couple things that I'm here for life. This is not a weekend kind of a trip. There, this is not no outing. This is for keeps, and I was okay with it at that time. And we'd mentioned a little bit about relationships. I realized I had to get out of the relationship I was in. It was just incredibly toxic, and there was a lot of using and abuse towards each other in this relationship. It was just nasty. Uh, so I knew I had to do something about that, and I did eventually. But after cleaning up for a while and going back to my residence, my home, and stuff, I checked myself into a psychiatric day program. Uh, Not many people do this early in recovery, and I think more people would benefit from some of the strength and the support that offers.
Yep.
Because I was in a recovery program down at the University Hospital there for 5 days a week for 7 months, and we were there 8 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. It wasn't a walk in the park. It wasn't. We weren't there to to waste time. We were there to get to some of these root problems of our existence. And one of my big ones uh, was around death, losing my mom, my dad, being adopted. I lost my dad when I was 8, my adopted dad, and I love that man dearly. So there's a lot of things there that were needed to be looked at, and I started doing that, clean and sober, and had just incredible results. Was feeling totally different. And the last day that I graduated, 7 months of this, I graduated, and all it took was for someone to say, "Let's go have a beer."
Just a fucking first one, right?
Yeah, and
Gets you every time.
I think I can do this. I think, and I said, "This sounds great, guys. Let's go." So I went down and I blacked out that night, and I was just off and running again for 5 more years.
Well, I think something that isn't discussed enough is, you always hear about the negative or the negative headspace like leading to relapse, but it's just as dangerous when you're on top of your A game and you
Hmm.
feel fucking great and
Yep,
untouchable.
yep.
That first one where you're like, I can handle this is equally as dangerous. And yeah, that that arm's length away, like we're equally as close to relapse, good or bad,
Hmm.
you know?
It's very true. It's
Yeah.
very true. And for us, it's for me, it's extremes. Eh? I'm either really, really good or I'm really, really out of it and bad and negative. So when I get that high, and it's natural, it's still a high, and I need to keep that. I need to keep that thing alive, right? And how often do people run around this world without using alcohol and drugs, being high all the time? It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not a reality. It's not reality based for us to be extremely high or really depressed. Um, yeah, so I took a run at it, lasted 7 months, and intentionally relapsed. I didn't consider it a slip. I didn't consider that that everything would go downhill from there. I just went for it, and with other people, different people, and a different crowd, but same results. Same results.
Do you want to like, so want to share with us a couple of your bottoms to your clean date today, or where it took you from that relapse to your clean date today? Some of those bottoms.
Yeah. Uh, from that clean time, in the hospital stay, especially, which really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And being introduced to the fellowships then, and there, I don't remember there being any then. There's definitely AA, and I was taught by some old timers. I was raised up by some old timers, and I'm glad I was. But when I went out to celebrate and got totally pissed, it was just a matter of days back to back to keep doing that. I couldn't stay off it now for a couple of days, right? So I've always bounced off the bottom. I've never hit a real bottom until my last drink and my last use, and I've always been at the bottom, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and drug wise, alcohol wise. I've always been at the bottom, and so for me to get up a little bit, it was just a trigger to get right back down. Right, I could not handle positive. I could not handle people saying, "Hey, you're really good with this." I said, screw you. You don't know me, really. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm capable of. So why would you even consider that? And that was me struggling with me. It wasn't that person struggling with me. It was me struggling with the better side of this person that has always been there, but couldn't get out, couldn't escape the other side. And so I was bottoming out for another 5 years, excessive drinking and drugging, and mind you, I stayed off a lot of the harder stuff, and was seemed to be okay with just some pot and stuff, and that was a change. I thought I was doing really good then. I thought that was a good sign of recovery to just drink a lot and a little bit of pot. No, it doesn't work that way.
Well, I guess in perspective, right? Like when you put the bar up here, and then you're like, "Well, I'm not that fucking bad."
That's right.
I've done worse.
Yeah, there's other people that are a lot worse than I. And so when you talk about bottoms, I've always been at the bottom. Every using experience I've had is there's never been anything pleasant about it, other than the impact of the drug or the thing. Everything else was I was bottoming out all the time. So there's but I guess there comes a time when we reach a point where it's life or death. That's for me,
Yeah.
and I believe I know that time came on Thursday, the 14th of December of 1983, because I went out of my way to get right out of it. I planned to get as out of it as I possibly could. In hindsight, I was trying to kill myself with alcohol and some pot. Uh, I drank 62 ounces of hard liquor in a period of about 7 hours. Mix that with some pretty good decent pot and stuff. I was just out of it. I don't remember most of that evening. I remember bits and pieces, like little pictures along the way, but I knew I was doomed. I knew something terrible was going to happen, but I didn't know what. That's why I isolated myself. I didn't let anybody come near me. I just did it myself. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to do anything stupid. My friend let me crash at his place. He showed up after work about 11 o'clock, and we had a couple of drinks. And he said I scared the crap out of him because I was trying desperately to say something to him, but I was making no goddamn sense at all. And he said he got really scared because whatever you were trying to say was really important. I know that. I know you, but I couldn't help you. I couldn't do anything to make things different for you. And then you just fuck this, and you went down the bedroom and threw yourself on the bed and slammed the door. Well, that isn't all I did. I tried to hang myself in this closet. Uh, I didn't know that. I blacked out. I blacked out going down that hallway. I remember that hallway, and I remember going, and everything just went. But I can't. I regained consciousness on the 15th, the Friday morning, at about 8:30 or so. And for years, I had never had a good rest, a good night's sleep, and waking up was horrible for me. Like I wouldn't wake up and go, "Oh, that was a good one. Oh, yeah, that was a great sleep." No, I wake up like, "Oh," like this, right? What happened? Oh God, what's wrong with me? What the fuck's wrong with me? That's how I woke up in the mornings. That morning was no different. I jumped up and I went, what? And I had a belt around my neck. And I went, what the? And I realized, flash, 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 boom. I tried to string myself up in the closet. And it was then and there, after getting this belt off my neck, I said, I can't do this. I'm going to die. The next step is death. I understand that now. It's just a matter of when and where and the circumstances. It's going to happen. I'm going to be a statistic. Another native kid bites the dust. A good, solid young man. He could have been something. He had a lot of things going for him, but just couldn't get away from it. Yeah, that would have been me. I said, I don't want to. I don't want that to be me. I know I'm better to myself than that. And I said, I got to stop. So I got through the day, went to work late, stumbled through the day. I don't know how I did it. And went to, by this time, I'm thinking AA. So I went to AA meeting that night and kind of hung my head and hid behind pillars and stuff, as they were calling people this time. There's 45, 50 people in this meeting. It was no little get together. This was huge.
Had you been to this meeting before? Like, did you know
Nope.
anybody, or it was the
Nope.
first
Didn't
time?
know anybody. That's a good point. Didn't know anybody. Didn't know what the meeting was there. Didn't know, anything about it. Uh, but something got me there, right? Uh, Later on, I understand. I have some beliefs around that. But at the time, it was me. There's no one there to guide me. There's no one there to make phone calls. I did that. There's no one to write down the address. I did that. There's no one to walk me or drive me there. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I got myself there on my own accord, on my own time. And it was a neat little story because I was living in a rented home on the main floor of this house out in the West End. And I called AA. I said, I need to get to a meeting tonight. I'm going to drink and I'm going to die. And they said, well, where are you located? And I gave her my address. She goes, oh, do you have a window that faces the west? And I said, yeah, well, yes, I do. So she goes, go to the window. So I went to the window, looking out it was a little dining room, looking out the window right there. And she said, is there a parking lot there? I said, yeah, is there a church there? And I said, yeah, it's a Lutheran church right there. She goes, 8 o'clock right there.
Wow. Perfect.
Yeah, right next door. How could I miss this? I can't make it.
Funny, and thinking, well, I guess probably not back then. I was gonna say, think of how many people were outside smoking cigarettes, but we all smoked inside
We
at that
smoked
time.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even be able to know. You just walk straight in, right? There was no
No, I
people
just walked
lingering in the
in and
parking lot.
I just walked in and hid in myself, and I knew the process because I'd been in that detox for a while. And I
Something.
said,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, and I just hid and hid and hid. I said, don't call me, don't ask me to talk, don't call me, don't ask who I am, just leave me the fuck alone. Don't come near me, please. Just it's rough enough right now. Just leave me alone. I'm here. That's all. I'm gonna do this. I'm here. And I kept looking at the clock. Oh shit, 20 minutes. Oh no, 10 more minutes. We time slow here. I was like, it's 5 minutes. Oh, that can't. Okay, I think I'm in the clear.
Well, what's funny too is we like at any point we can actually get up and walk out if we really wanted.
Exactly.
Or count down the
We
clock.
don't have to
Like,
stay. But we committed to, right? And
there's something that held you there, right?
yeah,
Like to the end.
it's so funny. The speaker said, or the chair said, I think we have time for one more speaker tonight. How about that lady down the end of the table in the pink shirt? I'm looking like this, and she's sitting right beside me, and she goes, "No, no, I'm not a." This was an open meeting, by the way. I said, I'm not a member, but I'm here to just provide support." She goes, "Oh, thank you for coming." I said, "How about the gentleman next to her?" And I go, "Oh,
Damn it.
damn it, shit."
Ugh.
After all this, so I said, "Yeah, my name's David, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict." And they said, "Oh, well, welcome, David. Yeah, is this your first meeting?" I said, "You bastards." Don't say that. Don't ask me if this is my. Yes, this is my first meeting. I'm back again. I had a little time back about 5 years ago, but didn't last long. So I'm screwed up. I'm not so worried right now. I said being here with you guys because it's there's no alcohol or drugs here. I'm worried when I leave this room what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go and so on and so forth. I had a lot of people latch on to me that night. And one of them became my sponsor, and they saved my life. Because if you left it up to me, I got myself there. But if you left the rest up to me, I wouldn't have lasted. There isn't enough of me in there to last. And so I put one day back. I put one night together. Went to meeting the next day, and the Sunday, Monday, I'm going into work, and I hadn't had anything all weekend. And I said to myself, I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to need help, but I can do this. And I'm going to do this. And I made myself a promise that morning, because it was the first Monday I can remember actually being at work uh, and not hung over really. I hadn't been using, and I said I'm going to do everything in my power right now to never use again. I'm going to do everything in my power with some help to die sober. And I made that pledge the 18th of December. Had a lot of help along the way. I noticed one of your questions, what was the
Well,
sobriety like?
that's just a guideline, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
no.
just a guideline. I'm going to get you to pull the mic a little bit closer, if you can, or slide into it. Yeah. And then
Oops.
there you go.
I think I put the brakes on.
So a couple questions then. That first year, when you were struggling, what did you use as your motivation to keep going?
Uh, Initially, it was my fear. I was fear driven not to use. It scared the daylights out of me to consider using anything. Uh, that was my motivation to turn to somebody, to make a phone call, or get my butt to where I should be with other people, uh, because I could go off on a tangent at the drop of a dime. Even back then, in my early years, I was very volatile. I was very explosive. I could be the sweetest guy in the world, but don't piss me off, right? Uh, I remember my first couple of months, 3 months, whatever. I haven't been to a lot of meetings, but I was remaining clean and sober, and I was talking to a few people here and there, but I really was just kind of showing up, right? My wife, my girlfriend, and I got into a big row that Sunday morning, and I don't know what it was over. It doesn't matter, something stupid. But I took my big blue book and I said, "You fucking thing," and I launched it through a plate glass window in our bedroom, two panes actually, and just shattered the whole room. And that was just an illustration to me that holy moly, you know, I'm scaring myself now, right? Imagine my wife is scared, but my girlfriend's scared, but I'm scaring myself now. Get some help, get some help, get some help. And I'd phone somebody, right? And I go meet them and said, this is what I did this morning, and da 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 da. And the guy looks at me. He's an old timer, right? And he goes, "Oh yeah, yeah. So, have you been to meetings lately?" I said, "No, just a couple." He goes, "Oh yeah, I've been reading anything? Well, a little bit here and there. I've been talking to somebody. Well, a couple of people, not here and there, not much."
We'll just say that's a no.
Yeah,
That's a nice way of saying no,
no,
not really.
no, no, no. And he said, "Well," he said, and you haven't picked up yet?" I said, "Picked up?" I said, "What do you mean picked up? I'm not going to pick up. What do you mean drink? I'm not going to drink. Am I going to use? I'm not going to use. Why do you think I'm sitting here talking to you, asshole?" And that's what I call him. So, "You fucking asshole. Why would you ask me that? Have I used yet? You think I'm using?" I said, "No." I said, "Like, I don't think you dig. I don't think you get it." I said, "I'm fucking out of here." I left him uh, because he didn't think, he was questioning my recovery. He was questioning whether I was legitimately an alcoholic or a drug addict. And I couldn't understand his line of questioning. It wasn't supportive at all. And I told him right away to right off. And I'd find somebody else. Why? Because I knew I'd go back into that fear mode, right? Where if I'm not careful, that fear will overpower me. It'll take over everything I do, think, and say, and I'll be using again. Uh, so more bottoms, even in recovery, emotionless time. I was potentially very physical too. I could be very uh, harmfully physically if I wasn't careful. Um, but I didn't use. I didn't pick up. I refused to go pick up. I was still playing in bands, so I said I was a musician too, eh? And we'd play 2 or 3 nights at a bar, right? And I'd go in there going, holy moly, like, I love doing this. This is part of who I am. But I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and I quit because I guess I had to reach a point where I realized how how unsafe it was for me, because I could go into a week or a weekend job or something like that in any frame of mind. I'll play and I'll play well and I'll do what I have to do. But am I okay spiritually? Am I okay mentally? Am I okay emotionally? Am I fit to be in this place? And a lot of times I'd say, no, this is not where I should be. And I finally gave it up, and the boys bought me out, and and off I went. And I kind of regretted that, but I found other ways to do music and stuff and do the things that I really get a lot of pleasure out that have really nothing to do with AA or NA or recovery. But then again, I say that, and everything I do has to do with recovery. Right?
nowadays.
Yeah.
So question: At what point did you realize that you're? At what point did you realize I don't have to use again? Like you had that aha moment where this is all of a sudden becomes a new way of life.
Yeah. A couple of them in my 83 to about 87, roughly. So that's about 4 years, right? During that first 4 years of my recovery, other than going to meetings, staying sober, clean, and doing work in that area, I was back in school. I was studying social work, and I was graduating in those 3 years. And I had a son. I got married and had a son. So uh, the aha moment came when my son was born. My son Josh, uh, and I kind of realized that at that moment that I now have the responsibility, if you will, of teaching my son how to respect himself so that he won't have to make the choices that I made based on low self esteem and no respect for self. Uh, I became a father, and I took that seriously. I really took that seriously, and spent a lot of time with my children and helped them grow up. There, Josh is 35 now, and I'm 38, so 3 years of sobriety,
Yeah.
white knuckling it before he was born. And it was then that I realized that I don't ever have to go back unless I choose to. And it's a choice. It's not something I'm going to slip into. I don't believe in slips. It's not something that's going to be an accident. I don't believe in accidents. I believe that if you're clean and sober, you're doing it. You're working it, and you're doing it. If you're not, then you're running the risk of relapse.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people operate in relapse mode, and somehow they get through it, somehow they don't. Right? I've befriended people in the fellowships that had it one day, lost it the next, and were dead the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've sponsored people who helped them do step fives with and 4 and 5s, and watch them relapse again. And I understand the nature of the work. Uh, by far, the hardest thing I've had to do is to go through 12 steps of recovery and do it again and again and again. And then I get to a point where I'm kind of brushing up on things. What do I need to do? I always ask myself, what do I need to do today to ensure that I'm clean and sober, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no caution there. I pray. I go to sweats. I smudge. I've been taught all these things growing up in sobriety. I've been taught about my culture growing up. I never had that. I've been taught about all these abuses I went through, and I've worked on them. I have a clean slate today. There's nothing I regret today. Uh, I've taken care of that to the best of my ability today. If I get offline, I fix it real quick, and I can. My wife and I have been married 15 years, and um, she relapsed when she was 3 years clean, and I almost lost her because of that, because I couldn't allow myself, like we had mentioned earlier, to be in a relationship where that is even an issue. You're either getting better or you're not, and I can't be around somebody that's drinking to that extent. So I was stuck out with her. I watched her pick herself up right away. She had a one night out, and right away, and she right back to me and said, I'm blessed, because if she hadn't done that, I wouldn't be with her. She's celebrating 15 years just the other day. She and I became foster parents. We went through training with the region here and became foster parents about 12 years ago, and opened our doors, and we were full within a month, and we've helped about roughly 22 kids. Yeah, from ages newborn to preteens and early teens. We've provided them some direction in terms of what's happening in their lives. We've had some degree of success, and others they've just opted and taken off anyways, and they're going to have to go through what I went through, I think, or what they're going to have to go through to find out what they need to do. But we've adopted two children. Riley is 8, Jeremiah is 9. They're only brothers in the sense that they've lived with us since birth, and they've only known each other. They don't have parents or siblings or anything like that. They're pretty much alone in this world, as I was at one time. And we adopted the two of them, and we're in the process of adopting a 2-year-old girl. Well, she's turning 3 tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And baby Jane is will be our third child, and then we're done adopting. Because I'm not getting any younger.
True story.
I
I hear you.
And I don't want to be like my dad, 86, and raising kids. That's
Maybe
not,
at their graduation, they're wondering why they brought their grandpa, right?
yeah, exactly. Is that your granddad?
I do have a question,
Yeah,
though.
go
Something that
ahead.
you mentioned earlier, accepting compliments. Back then, right, in that turmoil between like the good and bad. How'd you kind of overcome that?
Well, a lot of that comes from outside people. Uh, AA will give you, or the fellowship will give you some ideas to, how to practice that. And you can rehearse it. You can do a number of things to kind of prepare yourself. But you have to be at a certain level within yourself too. That's what I'm understanding. And the elders taught me, how can you be good to somebody else if you're not good to yourself? Good point. And I said, how can you accept goodness from somebody else if you can't accept it for yourself? Oh, another good point. And so I said, yeah, there's a balance in that whole thing. There's a balance in that thing. And to this day, I still say, hey, Dave, hey, or somebody said, boy, you guys are doing it. I go, my first response inside me is to go, it's nothing. No big deal. 22 kids. Yeah, that's okay. No, we can take care of it. The big deal. No big deal. When in fact, nowadays I say, thank you. I appreciate that. It's really important to hear that. And I needed to hear it today. Thank you. We were in Banff on a little whirlwind trip over the spring break with all of our kids. We had 6 at the time. Stopped into this restaurant in Banff, and I think it was Boston Pizza. Anyways, should remain nameless in this. We were eating out once, and we're all sitting around. There's 8 of us, my Marcy and I, and 6 kids, 2 little ones, 2-year-olds, 8, 9, 5, 8, 9, and a 12-year-old, and this guy is, I don't know, I didn't notice he was there, but this fellow comes over and taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "Yeah, well, sure." So I got up, and I didn't know whether to get ready to protect
Yeah.
myself or what. And I was going, "Oh, yeah." I walked over, and I said, "Yeah, what is it?" He goes, "Well, I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but my wife and I were sitting there eating, and we were so impressed by what we were seeing over here. When I said, we know you have kind of a special situation going on. We don't need to know all the details, but we just want to let you know you guys are doing an incredible job, and we're just so impressed by how you're handling these kids, and so we want to give you this. And he handed me a gift certificate, a card, prepaid card, and he said, "We'd like you to put this towards your meal, and God bless you." And I almost handed it back, you know. Proud of me, goes, "I don't need that. You might
Yep.
need it more." I said, "Thank you, sir." I said, that is such a kind thing to do, a kind act, and God bless you too." And I think we're all working for the same person. You know that? And he goes, "Yes, that is God's work you're doing." I said, "Hi, thank you. I appreciate that." It carries a different feeling today. It carries a different meaning. Compliments, they're deserved. Obviously, they're recognized, which is great. I To be able to go out in the community and have people impact people's life like that, even if it's for a dinner time or a meal, it's amazing, and it happens with us all the time. We're in Swiss Chalet in St. Albert, all 8 of us, and you should have seen the look on the older people's faces when they seated us right in the middle of everybody. Go, oh God, I can see someone going, "Oh Jesus." Here they come, the Longdale family. Yeah, half of us are native, half of us look native, half of us don't. Right, we're all blended into the same, and uh, and we're all sitting there, we just wait our turn. We order, we get our drinks. This table is about ready to go, and this and so they're getting it, and they said, "I can't believe we've been sitting here. I can't believe how well your children are behaved." And I'm going, "Well, thank you. Did you hear that, guys? Did
Yeah.
you hear what they said? We don't even know this person. Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you for taking time off." They go. The elderly couple over there were almost hiding. Made contact with two of our little girls. They're just beautiful little girls. These two, and they were waving back and forth and just having a grand time. And they got up and they were leaving. They goes, we've been watching you guys for 40 minutes now. I said, "I can't believe how well you're. So it's carrying that message, but in a different way, through family, right, with children, through community contacts. I've had people say to me, "What do you do?" The strangers at a gas station, for instance, who work at a gas station. "What do you do?" "I see you all the time." I said, "What is it you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a social worker by profession." She goes, "I thought so." And I said, "I'm also clean and sober." "What?" "Yeah, I thought so." She knows me like and she goes, "You are the kindest, relaxed person I've ever met in my whole life. And all I have to do is get gas, no big deal,
Yeah.
right?" But I'm sure they see some pretty irate customers
Oh,
too.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh, you fucking thing, take this thing,
For
shove it
sure.
up your ass.
For sure.
I've seen it happen.
Well, I got a question here for you.
Yeah.
You talked about relapse being we make a choice, right? Like it doesn't happen by accident. Over the last 40 years, has there been a point where you've wavered or considered it and relapse prevention? Yeah.
I'm going to have to say no. Uh, the thoughts have come to me, yes. Uh, have I considered it? No. As an addict or a recovering person, I'm flooded with reasons why I could use. I've got plenty of that, but there are now reasons why I can't use. The same reasons. So anything that I've experienced up until now has been a true signal that this is why. This wouldn't be happening if I was using, right? Or I get this incredible feeling that I'm glad I'm not using because I would have missed this, right? I would have missed this time with my sons, or I would have missed my child playing soccer. I would have missed the opportunity to speak to hundreds of people about my life, and I've done that over the period of my recovery. And no thoughts, yes. Geez, well, it'll be stupid of me to use or something like
Yeah.
that. It'd be worse.
The first thought, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
first thought.
yeah. And I said, I know how to get rid of those really quick.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And yeah,
I totally get it, right?
yeah,
Like you get that first thought. And it's not even a thought or a
no,
desire to use. Like
no.
it's not a desire, it's not a want, it's just a thought.
Mhm.
It's that first thought, and it gets dismissed as quick as it comes,
It
right?
can, yeah, it has to, and eventually it goes away too. Eh? I don't have thoughts of using today, or consideration of using today, and I don't go there. It doesn't make any sense in my world now to even think about it.
Yeah,
I don't want to think about that.
it's not an option.
Yeah.
It's not a part of life today,
No,
right?
it's not.
It's the
No,
furthest thing from. Yeah, you build up a life without it, right?
exactly. It becomes yeah.
What do I want to ask you here? What are you grateful for today? I was meant to ask you this one right at the beginning of the show,
Oh,
so I'm
that would
gonna
have.
crop this in there.
Yeah, I would have told. I would. My first response earlier would have been turtles. I'm grateful for turtles. I'm grateful. I'm clean and sober. I'm grateful that I I I took the steps I did to stop that cycle. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for my clean and sober time because of all the benefits that have come with it, and they're not things that are attached to it. They're things that you grow up with, right? They're growing up things, and I've been gifted things because I'm clean and sober. I've been gifted things because I can actually share with others that I'm clean and sober, uh, and I'm able to do that in a way that reaches a lot of different people. I'm grateful to be married. I'm grateful to have children. I'm grateful to be earning money. I'm grateful to have the home I do, the vehicles I do. I'm grateful to have a few bucks in the bank. I'm grateful for a creator who I have with me all the time. That bond is very, very strong. And I know that. I know it's there. I can feel it every day. I'm grateful uh, to have a license. I'm grateful to be eating 3 times a day. I'm diabetic. I'm not grateful for that. That's a bit of a hassle, but it seems like in my recovery, I've overcome so many obstacles unrelated to recovery, more physical, and I'm kind of wondering, does this happen to a lot of people in recovery? Do a lot of people I know uh, have their appendix ruptured? I don't know. Do a lot of people have their gallbladder moved? I don't know. Do a lot of people have depression for 66 years now. I've been, 63 at least of those years. I have been depressed. And I don't know. Other people fall off ladders and break their ankles. I don't know.
Yeah,
But all these things, there's some things that have taken place in recovery, health wise, that, yeah, I'm not too pleased about, but I can live with it. I can live with diabetes. I know how to take care of it. I can live with depression. I know how to take care of that. I know what I need to do to stay balanced. So I'm not too high or too low. I just kind of glide right down the middle there, and
mhm.
it's a nice place to be.
It is where you don't waver too
Yeah,
much. Like
yeah,
you still get affected from time to time, but like you come back to that center line pretty quick, and
yeah,
like
yeah. There's nothing
logic and feelings or
exactly.
emotions
Yeah, head
balanced.
and heart.
Yeah,
There's nothing worse than in recovery being level, right, and then slipping emotionally, right,
yeah,
to a point where you're really low. And I've seen this happen so many times where I know this person's in trouble. This person's in trouble. Please help them do something. And 9 out of 10 times, maybe more, maybe it's 99 out of 100 times, they haven't addressed something in their past. It's keeping them down there, right? Or that fills them up when they're down there, because it's really hard in recovery to get
yeah.
back up there to level playing field again. If that be the case, then there's potential for all of us to relapse, right? And same like you said, we don't want to get too high. That's what
Mhm.
happened to my wife in when their third year. She got a job promotion. She got an award through work. She was flown into Winnipeg to receive it. Da, da, da. And her head was just. And I understand that. And all it took was one person to say, "Here, have a glass of wine."
Yeah,
And there was no program attached to that offer. There's nothing there. No one to say, "Hey, should I? Shouldn't?" No, no. She didn't have it yet. Eh?
yeah.
And off she went for the night. And I bet you she was in bad shape before. I'm glad I wasn't around her.
That's funny.
But
I got one more
yep.
question for you. So with your higher power or your creator, 40 years in, how do you continue to maintain that connection?
Prayer, talking to him, smudging, I smudge all the time. Walking, go for walks, being outdoors, camping, uh, being here with you. I'm always reminded that there is my Creator is everywhere. Uh, he's in those plants that you have right there. You know, he's everywhere, and creation is everywhere. And I don't have far to go to know that I'm there with it too. Uh, so it's a knowledge thing, but it's also a feeling thing that I can feel that energy. I can feel that, and I can feel when something's not okay too. I have a real sense for that too. But uh, I I walk the walk in terms of my spirituality. I don't take it for granted. I don't put down other people's beliefs. I support whatever it is they believe in. I think there's different ways of connecting with spirituality, but it is what's the word imperative.
Mm-hmm.
It is imperative. I've worked a number of positions over the years as a counselor, as a therapist, as I worked with young offenders. I worked with guys on parole, you name it. I've worked in addictions field, our house. I've worked at Palmaker's Lodge. I've done a number of things, and one thing I found over the years is that if we were to make that medicine wheel and divide it into four equal parts, right? You've seen them, right? I thought I saw one earlier, but
No, not here.
no. Okay, and each one of those that wheel represents us, right? You, me, everybody. And there's four directions. There's four nations. There's four seasons. Okay, and they're all connected, right? They're all connected in the middle. So we all have that emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. And then in my travels, I've noticed that if there's one place where a lot of people seem to be weak, or yeah, that's maybe one way of putting it, is in the spirituality area of their lives. Uh, and you can't, to me, you can't have a successful, meaningful recovery without that, you know. And for me, it has to be ongoing. It's not something I just do every Sunday or something I do when I feel like it, or I'm crashing, you know. It's something that's done and practiced and rehearsed all the time, just as with the other three areas, right? I've met, I've worked with people who couldn't lose weight for some reason, physical. So for some reason they just always chunky. I said, well, try this. Try working on all four areas of yourself together at one time for 28 days. There's your treatment program. And if it doesn't work, do another 28 days. And you work on yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and you address the issue of your weight loss, of how to reduce the weight, eating,
Yeah.
reading, breathing, exercise, you name it.
Stress,
And,
emotional regularity, and all
yes,
that. Yeah.
and spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
ask Creator, ask whoever you want to ask to help you, right? To guide you, to be there with you, to take that fat away from you, whatever it is you want. And if you have that strong belief, it'll happen. Every time I've done this in a teaching role, I've always come back and said, "What were the results of your test, your wheel?" Because I'm not here to do it. I'm not the one to tell you what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. What happened to you? And everybody I've talked to, and I'm going about 99.9% of the people that I've assessed and helped assess, self-assess, have said the same thing. This thing really works. You know, I've never actually worked on all parts of me at the one time. I've always dieted. It's not enough. Or I've always read and, you know, really filled my mind with things to do, or that's not enough. You know, I prayed. That's good, but that's not enough. You know,
It's that balance.
it's
Yeah.
that balance. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Without it, your wheel is not going to be
It's
balanced.
pretty lumpy.
Yeah.
It'll go good and then stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Looking at the time,
Yeah.
I think we got to wrap this up here.
That's good. That's fine with me.
Thank
Yeah.
you for being here. Thank you for sharing your truth with us. I really appreciated what you shared with us.
That's
And do you want to take us home? Is there something you'd like to leave with the listeners?
Yeah. Uh, if there's one person uh, that's listening that feels that they understand anything I've said, then come and join us. We're there's millions of us around. It's just not a walk in the park neighborhood kind of thing going on here. There's tons of us around that have to make it or will make a decision around their using. Uh, Only you can determine that. But there's plenty of people around, and I've met lots of them that will be there to help you in that process. You don't have to do it alone. I think that's one of the biggest struggles we face is alone, alone stuff, alone time, and feeling that we're the only ones that have to make or can do something about it. That's not true. The sooner we realize the minute we reach out, somebody is going to be there, then you're not alone anymore, right? Even if it's just one person, you're not alone anymore. And your disease doesn't have to keep you alone, you know? That disease will hang on to you till the bitter end. And remember that. Eh? Remember that it's always there. Never forget it's right there. You're the one that's got to chase it away or help it away or move it away or heal it away. And you have the ability to do that. There's a lot of us in this fellowship who believe that we're quite different, quite unique. And we have different stories, but they all come out to me at the end of the day with the same ending, right? We've all faced tragedy. We've all faced humiliation. We've all faced being alone. We've all faced charges. We've all faced whatever it is. And somehow we got through it one day at a time. In my earlier years in sobriety, is 1 minute at a time. And in my earlier years of sobriety, I would repeat the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if it doesn't work once for you, say it again, and say it again, and say it again. And eventually, it'll kick in. We need to be in that calm place. We need to be in a place where we can rationally make decisions that are best for us, not react to things and make decisions that are going to hurt us and others. I ask that you have a searching look at your situation, and I know if you need to, you can contact me. I'm sure there's ways that can happen, and there's other people around. So, hi, have a great day, and thanks for having me, my friend. I really enjoyed this, and thanks to our common friend Clark for getting us connected like this. And I look forward to another time.
Awesome.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody out there, thank you for sharing your time with us. I really appreciate it. And I'll leave you the same way I leave you every episode, and that's make lots of memories, take lots of pics, and show the world your smile. Cheers.